Welcome to Startup Club, almost 1 million members strong. Today's show is how do you get that big idea? We've had a long summer, great summer, but it's about that time of year when we're starting to get back to work. Isn't that right, Michelle?
Yes, I think we've been working really hard, and I know many of us is the time of year we really ramp up so that we can have a really great Q3 and Q4.
Absolutely. And you're listening to Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. We talk about ideas and how do we come up with the ideas? What is it that we can do to figure out which ideas can actually make sense? And so, what are some of the characteristics of those ideas and some of the ways that we should position ourselves for those ideas? Michelle, coming up with that next big idea.
Oh
Is,
yeah.
is there a time that you can remember, a story that you want to share with us, where you came up with an idea and it either worked out or it didn't work out? And that's what we want from the audience as well. If you're in the audience and you had come up with an idea, it worked out, we want to hear about that and how you came up with that idea and why you came up with that idea. And then if you're in the audience, you come up with an idea and it didn't work out, come on stage, share that story with us. We want to hear from you because we're just trying to crack that code. We're trying to figure out what it is that makes a startup successful and how to increase the chances and the odds of success. Michelle, do you want to kick it off with the first story?
Yeah, absolutely. But first, I want to tell everyone we're going to start inviting people up real quickly to the stage. So please don't hesitate to raise your hand here shortly. And also, if you can, at the very bottom of the screen, there's a little square with an up arrow. If you could share that in the clubhouse, we'd be very grateful so others know that this session has began. So I'm going to jump right into a big idea, but first, Con, I'm going to state it a little bit differently. Okay. Um, the best ideas that I think I've experienced or had are not always like, oh my gosh, it's like, chat GTP or, electric cars. I think for most of us, where we get the most momentum in our businesses is by continually improving and incrementing, listening to customers and moving things forward, right? Finding out what really works and what problems there are to solve. It doesn't have to be, you're launching a rocket to the moon here. So I know it says big ideas, but sometimes the little things are actually the things that move you to that path and to the big success. So, for my story, I'm going to talk about an e-commerce business we run. We took over, it's a cat e-commerce website. And the company, had amazing social media presence, lots of potential. And the whole team was really focused on just doing lots of kind of little like it's about cats, so like little cat stuff, inexpensive cats, because they were really of the mindset, oh, people don't want to buy, spend a lot of money on their cats. Okay. But I knew that wasn't true. I have cats, and I was continuously looking for a specific item, and I wanted it to be quality, and I wanted it to look good in my house, right? I didn't want some ugly carpet thing. So what we did is we worked with the factory and manufacturer. Gosh, it took at least 9 months to come up with a prototype for a very aesthetically pleasing cat tree. And it's very, straightforward. Let's say, I don't want to say simple, but simplistic, not busy, more elegant in design. And then again, everybody was so afraid, like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to pay 325, US dollars for that. But, I think we pretty much proved them wrong. So, I'm here to tell you from the businesses that I've been in that your next big idea could be just sitting right in front of you. It could be something that you think, gosh, I just wish this was different, or somebody keeps telling you there's a mistake about. So what I'm saying here is listen to your intuition, but back it up, with some research. Test it first and talk to your mentors, and more importantly, talk to your customers. A lot of people fail to do that. It's crazy to think that, but I know we've all been victim of that. So talk to your customers, look at what are the big problems right in front of you, and go for it. Back to you, Colin.
Yeah, I love how you sort of hit it right out of the park with, focusing on the problems, and they don't have to be big problems. In fact, the book that is being published, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, chapter one is titled "Ideas Are Everywhere," and we get into this topic for new startups. Where do you position yourself? How do you come up with the next big idea? And you reminded me of a story, Michelle, that's in the book about how I used to hate traveling and going to hotel rooms. And Michelle and I, we run many companies currently in an incubator, and we also ran a company called Dot Club, which was sort of a micro global brand. It was an alternative to .com, .net, and .org. So we traveled all over the world, including like China 13 times. I mean, it was insane. So I began to hate hotel rooms, but I loved the experience of a vacation rental. The problem is when I would book a vacation rental, I can't sleep that night. The beds are hard. The cookware is horrible. It was just a bad experience. The cleanliness wasn't there. So when we launched a real estate business in Fort Lauderdale called Escape Club, uh, we designed a concept around combining hotels, sort of that hotel cleanliness, the hotel quality inside a vacation rental. So now every one of our homes are great vacation experiences. We have 19 properties, and every home has its own activities and whatnot, but it has also has the Westin Heavenly beds. It has the Pottery Barn cookware. It's designed by, we have a designer who worked for Disney World. So they're all themed as well and very nicely designed. We've combined the experience with the hotel quality. And this really was inspired just from because I hated hotel rooms and I hated vacation rentals. And I thought, if I don't like this and I want to travel this way, then other people must want to travel this way. And so we put that together, and the company, thankfully, is been doing very well. In fact, the key ingredient of Airbnb are reviews, and because of our formula, we have a 4.98 reviews on average on all of our properties. So that's the first thing to think about: is how do you solve a problem? And when you've done that, you might begin to think about, okay, there is a problem here, but am I passionate about that? Now, look, I know I'm not going to change the world when it comes to these vacation rentals, but I do know that I'm going to enable a family to have a phenomenal vacation. I'm going to give them an opportunity to do that. It's a vacation that I would enjoy as well. In fact, Michelle and I often visit some of these places and just stay there as well, and enjoy the house with the pool, whatever it is, enjoy it. And so, do I have a passion for it? Yes, I absolutely do. I believe in it. But like you said, Michelle, it doesn't always have to be like this is my number one passion in life, and therefore I'm going to do that. Like for instance, for me, my number one passion might be well, I guess it is dogs, and I was going to say King Charles Spaniels, dogs, and wine. Well, I don't own a wine company, but I do own. Oh, I am a major shareholder in a dog company. But that being said, it doesn't have to be like that as well. It can be something smaller. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, that it's an interesting thing, right? I know when I was younger, I would just sit and think, gosh, if I could just think of something really, really good, if I could just think of something that will like change everybody's life, and I can be, you know, a unicorn. When I was young, actually, I probably said a millionaire, right? But a unicorn. And then, with maturity and reality and talking to lots of other successful people, I realized, the steps to this. And Colin wrote a lot about this in his new book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, coming out soon. The steps to wealth take many forms, and one of them can be stepping into successful projects one after another, and not just saying, oh my gosh, I have to be a unicorn right now. So, for me, I love working in small businesses and growing them, and really just growing that value, and then going on to the next business to start. For me, that's been a very much a way to, grow wealth and grow business. And I know,
Mich-
Colin, you're the king of this, so you can elaborate more on stepping into this.
yeah, Michelle, I'm actually perusing the book, the first chapter. I'm going to read you a quote, and you have to tell me who said it. It's almost impossible to force yourself to come up with a new idea. More likely, you'll stumble across it, but take the time to develop it and find solutions. Who said that, Michelle?
I think I might have.
It was you. It was definitely you. And it's just interesting working in an incubator all the time. We're always trying to ideate, whether it's one within our company or ideate new companies, or we have people coming into our incubator and they want help with ideation as well. In fact, I was just talking about this exact topic this morning with my daughter, and she was saying, "Well, how do I take my idea to the next level?" And one of those things is joining an incubator. And if you can get yourself or surrounded by others, and sometimes there's even ideate. Like I know that the Alan Levan Center at NSU, where I speak at, they have 4 sessions. They have an ideate, an incubate, an accelerate, and a post accelerate. And by the way, they're all free. They're all free. Just if you search Colin C. Campbell Forbes, we just came out with 2 articles on 7 or 8 ways that you can get absolutely free support for your startup. And one of them is these free incubators or free cohorts. Go into those, join them. They're free. They have an ideate session. You look at your local university, check with them, Google it. I think you could generally get your information on Google. But if you're in the South Florida area, the Alan Levan Center is excellent, and you should consider signing up to one of those sessions. They do more than just help you. They bring in experts. And they also can sometimes make connections for funding as well. Let me tell you another story that I have in the book. There were some friends of mine. We were traveling to Ukraine. We have an office there, IT development firm, and we were sitting at a dasha. A dasha is like a farm with a little house on it, and we were having a barbecue, and we were underneath a tarp, and we're sitting in this dasha, and the president of the company um, that we it was back in 19 it was back sorry back in 2006, and the vice president, I guess I was still CEO then, but the vice president was with me, and he and I would complain about having to find a taxi in these cities. We'd fly in, and we just sometimes would spend half an hour to an hour just trying to get a taxi to come to our location to pick us up. It was frustrating. So we said, why don't we develop an app where you can track the taxi? You click the button, it brings a taxi to you, and you can track it on a GPS. And we called that app My Yellow Button. Now, at the time, we had a development firm, a side firm as well, that was developing video games. And we went back, and the team, I guess, they liked the idea, but they said, well, let's just finish these video games first. The fact of the matter is, you can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't act on them, you're going to be stuck in the mud. And had we acted on that, I'm not saying we would have been Uber. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into something like this, but we were out with the idea before Uber. We even registered a domain name. We started to take some actions, but we didn't follow through. It just wasn't a priority. No one was focused on it. We had to get that next game out or whatever it was that we were working on. So I want you to think about that too, is that when you do get that idea, you've got to take action. And that action can happen very, very quickly. You don't need to sit around. You can moonlight. You can do it while you're making income at another job as well. And there was the problem. And there was obviously a company, two companies, I guess, Lyft and Uber, well, and Didi as well in China, and a few other companies who've gone in that space and solved that problem. Are there problems in your life that you can see? Are there problems in your industry? That's another good one too, is if you're working, I always say to a lot of entrepreneurs that sell their company, if they don't have another company lined up already or if they haven't started one, stick around at your existing company. It's so much easier to see opportunities when you're in a company or when you're in an industry than it is if you're not. If you're just sitting at home, it's a lot easier uh, to think of ideas or solve problems or identify bottlenecks in a particular industry if you're actually actively engaged in it. And that even comes for with that even comes with those who are running their own startup today. I'm not suggesting you take your eye off the ball. You got to focus on the startup. You got to focus on the core. But the fact of the matter is, I was able to start 12 or 13 companies. Show you how this worked. Back in 1993, right out of graduating, right out of college, started a software rental business. That business was outlawed 1 year later with the NAFTA, the free trade agreement. But we had started a BBS at the time, and uh, we had built up a membership with that BBS. We launched the BBS, and the members grew pretty quick. In fact, it became the second largest BBS in Canada and the largest social BBS. BBS is a bulletin board service. It was a way people connected before the internet. And then we saw demand for the internet because we launched an internet module and we saw demand for it. We couldn't afford both companies. We literally shut down the BBS and launched the internet company. While at the internet company, we launched a company uh, called Two Cows, which was a software download site. Today it's over a $500 million company. While at Internet Direct, SaskTel, that's a Saskatchewan telecom, gives us a call and asks us if they can license out our platform for our web hosting platform. Ding, ding, ding. And then we launched Hostopia. While at Hostopia, we were studying new domain extensions after we had sold the company. And one of those domain extensions was .club. While at .club, 2 years ago, our phone started ringing off the hook when a new app called Clubhouse came out, and thousands of people started registering .club domains, and it blew up the domain extension. And we ended up selling that company, blew it up in a good way. And we ended up selling that company. Uh, while there on Clubhouse, we met Ed, and who had started this site or this club called Startup Club. And we said, Ed, we love what you're doing here. And Ed agreed to pass that club over to us to run. And today we're running that club. Isn't it absolutely phenomenal how each idea came from the prior company? Being aware. My son once found a $20 bill and says, look, I'm really lucky. And he said, no, you're really observant. You need to be observant. You need to find those $20 bills. And you can do that in your life if you really if you're really aware and you're methodical about it, you can actually identify those $20 bills. Oh, I know that was quite a soliloquy, Shell. But
No,
if
that
you're
that
on,
was great.
yeah, it's Friday afternoon, it's the summer still. If you're on in the audience and you've ever had an idea, just raise your hand. Come join us on stage, have some fun. We'd love to hear from you, your idea, why you think you came up with that idea, whether it worked out or didn't work out. We just would love to hear from you on those ideas and get some more feedback and interest in this topic. And Michelle, we'll let you moderate as we go forward. And it seems like we've got our first victim.
Yes, we do. We have the brave Eddie. Eddie, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What's on your mind, your story?
Victim. Oh man. um. Sorry, I'm over here. I just got done eating lunch. So I started essentially like a social media website for professionals in the cannabis space. Um, and I went through an incubator program and did like I think about close to like 70 surveys and interviews with professionals in the space before launching anything. Through those interviews, kind of uncovered that there's like a disconnect between operators, or even like state to state or within their own state. And so finding other people in the space is like it's usually just word of mouth for the most part and proximity. So I wanted to create a platform that made like discovering connections and like-minded people in the space easier. Um, I launched it and it kind of just sat there and the tech stack was crazy thick, so I was like paying all this money monthly for nothing. So I put pause on it right now and I'm like restructuring the tech stack, but also just trying to figure out like if I was too wide in my target audience and maybe I need to narrow in a little bit deeper as far as like who I'm trying to connect with in the space. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Now, is it correct to assume that you could sell this service to one company? I'm just asking, is it like you have to build a platform first and then you need thousands of customers, or can you actually provide the service for one customer first and then go to 10 and then go to a hundred?
Yeah, solid. All right, so it's actually something I've been battling with. Initially, the idea was that it was going to be a platform, and we would just onboard people on there and then charge for like features and add-ons. Um, I still see that kind of being the like low hanging fruit, but the alternative was like creating a platform that would allow like other organizations to this would be like a way more dense of a product, but allowing them to use the same kind of functionality internally with their own employees and collaborators and stuff like that. So again, just making like at that point it's like a like almost like a glorified Rolodex, but the whole idea is to just make like personalization real on a profile level, and then like that discovery piece, like focusing on that over the like content creation and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like it's an idea that uh, you know has a strong need. There's a need out there because not all these cannabis operators understand social media, and I saw it happen actually with the school that my wife and I own, where we originally had our own website, da da da, and eventually we just decided to use one platform for someone who specialized in content and social media management for Montessori schools. So it was very specific, it was very niche, very vertical. And what I like about their idea there is and I don't know if I've characterized it correctly, your concept, but what I like is a few things. What I really like is that this is an idea that's taking advantage of an emerging trend. You're catching a wave around the whole new cannabis industry. And the reason why I like that is because a lot of the bigger corporations, they're not really there yet. They haven't mentally got their heads around new trends, and they tend to go much slower when it comes to new tech, AI, and some other things. But the fact of the matter is, they take a long time. What I also like about it is it's like a small industry. If you look at the total industry size, it's probably relatively small. Social media services for the cannabis industry. Um, but that's okay because sometimes it's easier to dominate. Some of the business plans that I see that are out there, people say, "Well, if I could just get 0.01% of a $120 billion industry, then I could actually make tens of millions of dollars." Well, the fact is, it's much harder to actually do that, especially when you're talking about technology adoption and who dominates in a particular industry. And it's in this particular one, I could see you dominating this industry. I could see you actually winning that market. And so I really hope you do stick with it and come back and share with us more updates about that story.
Yeah, I'm going to add on a little bit too, for Eddie. I would just say make sure you're really talking to the target audience too. I don't know if this is true, but what first popped into my mind is maybe some of these people do not want to be like broadly accessible, or everyone listening to everything they say. I don't know if that's true, Eddie, but I was just thinking, oh, if I was a, cannabis grower or marketer, I might want to only interact with certain people, and I may not want it like publicly available information, I guess I should say. However, I would want it, and I would want it with the right target audience and with people that are really do understand and are experts. So I don't know if that's true, Eddie, but it's what popped into my mind. But therein, I think lies an interesting opportunity for you to really, to really develop a compelling product, right? Because if it is something like that, and you really can, let's just say, curate and get to, let's just say the tastemakers and the extremely knowledgeable people, I think you could really, provide something of real value, that you can actually charge for, other than like what a lot of social media is like. That's just some thoughts I had immediately, based on what you were saying. And I do think it's a really cool space.
Thanks. I appreciate the both of you. Pretty spot on. Sometimes I feel like when I'm talking, I don't know if it's like making sense. And sometimes I feel like what I'm building essentially is just a directory, but I'm trying to run deeper than that and not like be romantic with the idea. At the end of the day, it's about trying to like just allow like better connections in the space, I guess. So I'm trying to focus on that.
Yeah, and when I do a cohorts, uh, I spend about 2 hours in the very first in the very first session, and we spend actually about, to be quite frank, about half hour preparing a four sticky note business plan. And it's actually in the book as well. I'm sorry I can't get the book right now. It's not coming out until October 3rd, but I wish I could, in some ways, share with you the four sticky note business plan. Because if you take your idea and you put it on the sticky note business plan, and literally it only takes you a half hour, it really helps you think through the strategy of launch and getting to your first stage gate, and how much money you need to get there and who you need to get there. And it doesn't take long. It's a very, very quick exercise. We are actually eventually going to put that on Startup Club, a way for you to create a for sticky note business plan, which will actually turn into a full AI business plan as well that you can present to investors. We're working on that project. But if you get a chance, pick up the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. It's coming out October 3rd. I thought we might have had something on Startup Club once, but I can't seem to find it right now. But you can search for other alternative business plans. I know Vern Harnish has a one-page strategic plan. It's a little bit more complicated and not as geared towards startups, like the early stage startups. But if you get a chance, try to consider completing that four sticky note business plan. It's very simple to do. Well, I'm excited we have. Oh, sorry, Eddie.
I was gonna say, can I ask? I got one question. One thing that I've been battling is through the incubator program that I went through. A big thing for them was like proof of concept would be someone actually handing you money, and so like putting like a price wall up has been like something I was doing initially, and now I'm thinking like considering the type of product that I'm building, it could be kind of counterintuitive to charge people to join a membership base that like has zero members, right? So it's like you join a directory and it's empty. So like to combat that, I was thinking of like launching a brand directory, but then they would pay a premium to get into the people directory and to be able to interact one on one. um but I guess I'd say like, do you feel like it makes sense to like stick to that price wall idea, or is it to kind of
Oh,
feed people and then
I
charge later?
I'm really big on this idea of proving the concept. Okay, so I think the way I would probably approach this, or if you're in our incubator and I invested in the company and I was advising you, I would say, okay, what I'd really like you to do is get your first five customers, and don't forget about the technology. Let's go real deep with five customers and really learn what they want and need and how we can help them with their business. And when we figure that out, then let's put that into a platform and let's scale that platform. That's probably the way I would do it, is just really get deep with, and you might not be making a profit on 5 customers, and that's okay. But at least you're in the market, you're developing the platform, and you're moving it forward.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add on here a little. With those kind of platforms, you really need adoption and critical mass. So I would say be careful about causing people to pay when there's no members and there's no communities yet, because I'm going to tell you, it won't do well. You need to get some critical mass first, even if they have to give up something, right? Meaning their email, and maybe you're vetting them. I think that's okay, but be very cautious until you get some confidence that you do have the right format, the right, people on the platform before you start trying to charge. That's my 2 cents.
It sounds like common sense, but I know a lot of things in the startup world are like, they might seem like it, but they're not. They're really not. So I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, I'm gonna fall back to the audience now. Let somebody else get their chance. Thanks again.
All right. I just want to mention we have Tej joining us. Tej is an expert in startup funding and even more mid-market funding. He's a very successful person in VC who's also joined the stage. So this is your chance too to also be able to interact with Tej if you have questions about your big idea or your not so big idea that maybe is just a big money maker. That's okay too, I think. Right, Tej?
Absolutely. If you got the dream and you have some thoughtful energy behind it and a plan, like Colin said, whether it's for sticky notes or otherwise, you can do it. But I love what I want to make one note. I love what he said about what you just said actually is find the customer first. That's exactly how we launched our firm 5 years ago. Find We found 3 or 4 huge corporate clients that said, if you did this, we will follow you. Kind of like, if you build it, they will come. Once you do that, found 3 large corporate clients first. Then we built the firm around them. Next thing you know, we closed 3 transactions. And for every one of those transactions, we got another referral. Next thing you know, you're moving at the speed of 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. So just want to make a note of that. But always a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. All right. We have Marco who has joined us on the stage. Marco, what is your question or your story that you can share here with the members?
Well, I'm originally from Alabama. I went to Ohio, moved to Georgia. When I was in Ohio, I did a lot of research, which I found out is very frustrating, but it could be done. I also learned that, you know, kind of like Eddie, he's kind of looking for the target audience. One thing that I learned in my business with the Shopify store is that when you building up, you gotta have a purpose. You got to figure out exactly what you want to do. And behind that purpose, you got to have a principle. And behind that principle, last but not least, is the process. So you already know who your targeted audience is. It will get frustrating to do that research. So just stick with it. Work hard, stick with it at every step. And once you find your target audience, you need to hit the ground running. Go full speed ahead. Don't stop. That's all I wanted to give. That's the only advice I wanted to give to Eddie.
All right, Marco, I'm your third follower, by the way. So thank you very much. That was great, and it reminded me of the first words in the book, or some of the first words was, um, when you're starting a business, it's all about purpose and why. So if you do look at the 4 sticky note business plan, the very first thing at the top is why. Why are you doing this business? And there's quite a story in that why, and you can share that story with prospective customers, investors, suppliers, because everybody wants to hear the story of why. And if your why is not, I want to make money. I hope we all can agree on that. Is that correct, Marco?
Yes, that's correct. You got to have a passion in what you're doing. If it's about money, it's not going to work, because once all the money is in it, you're not gonna have the passion for the business no more. So one thing we always gotta ask ourselves before we even start a business: is this the niche that we want to go with? Is this what we are passionate about? If you passionate about something, there is nothing that's gonna stop you but yourself. But we already know that we are our own worst critic, and we are the only ones that can stop us from doing whatever we want to do. So, I mean, like I said, I started with a Shopify store, and I it took me so long to do it, but I eventually got it up and running, and then I started seeing people looking at it, and I started seeing the people that's looking at it, and I started targeting those people. So, and I had a buddy that's up in Ohio. He has a dispensary. What he did was he went to, like, they got events that they have for dispensaries, bashes, all that. He went there and promoted himself, and that's how he is making. I mean, I don't know how much money he's making with that business, but he's very successful. So as long as you got your target audience and you don't lose focus and you keep putting one foot forward, you're going to be successful.
I think it's also interesting that uh, when you start with why and you have a passion for something, it can get you through the hard times as well. I often say it takes 10 years to make an overnight success. And if you look at my history, you'd see all these successful companies, but they all seem to take 10 years. Even the book took 10 years to write. I don't know what it is, but whatever. Fact of the matter is, there's ups and downs. And you're going to go through those times when you just want to curl up in a ball and stay at home. And, but you know what? If you're passionate about that idea, if you love the idea, and I know I go a little too far in the book about this, but if you love it, it's going to get you through those hard times. The reality is, I do love dogs, and I interact with that company, and we've come up with a lot of different product ideas based on those interactions. And it's just because I love dogs and I love seeing them and I love seeing how they interact with the products. And, it's just a lot of fun for me. I don't love cats. I'm going to admit that, Michelle. I know you love cats, Michelle. You have a cat company,
I
right?
love
So
all animals. I love all people and animals, Colin.
I think partially because I'm allergic to cats too. But the fact is, I don't, and I don't really, have much I can help Michelle out with her company because I just don't, just not my thing. I just don't really understand cats. I don't like them. It's not a hobby. It's not a passion of mine. But I do love dogs, and paw.com is the name of the company, and it's done extremely well, 4 years in a row on Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies. And we're pretty proud of what we've accomplished there. We've invented multiple new products for pets, and quite frankly, it's a lot of fun. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. It reminds me of Joe Foster, who founded Reebok, and who we've interviewed here on this show a couple times. He's popped in on this show. He just does it the odd time. He's 88 years old. And one thing he said about Reebok is, or any idea, he said you got to have fun, fun, fun. He's really big on that concept. If you're going into this and it's not fun. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you're going to come to a point in your startup where it's not fun, where you barely can make payroll, or you're stressed out about raising the money, but ultimately, you know, a large percentage of the time, it should be fun. And but again, I know it's a roller coaster. It's such a roller coaster, isn't it? Marco, thank you very much. I'm your follower number 3, and we like to follow people who come on stage because when you're actively involved in Startup Club, we would like to get to know you. So if you are in the audience and you want to join the conversation, just raise your hand, and we'd be happy to answer a question or listen to your story of your why or your idea and why you think it was successful or not.
All right. We have Miss Marie who has joined the stage. Miss Marie, tell us your story or ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, everybody. I just wanted to share an experience, and maybe people can take something away from it, or just be able to share it, because it. I've been I've always had an entrepreneur mindset since I was a teen. And in 2017, I too got involved in the cannabis and CBD space. So I started a company, LLC. I started with an LLC. It was called CBD Divas, and it was an online store. And I was basically selling CBD products, tinctures, pet treats, whatever have you, different various product online. And without any marketing, I made $48,000. And so when I pitched this idea at first to an investor, he literally wanted to write me a check right there on the spot and said, "How much money do you need to get this company started?" In my mind, I was kind of more thinking like 150K, but I said to him, "Well, hold off. Don't write the check yet, because what I want to do is I want to build the company first, and then get the website going, online store going, um, and then maybe if I need your help, I'll come back and come back to you." So that's something I did. And, I wanted to be the Mary Kay of CBD, so I wanted to also give opportunities for other people to, especially like maybe a stay-home mom, to join the sales, and then reward them with a vehicle for like having big sales. So that was kind of my vision there. So, but here's the thing: the following year, I got involved with, because of the whole cannabis business coming. I didn't want to come in as a more in the cannabis space. So I met a person who manufactured a product that basically has a strong product where it can, so like a powerful degreaser, and you could literally dip your hand in oil like you were, getting oil out of your truck, and you could dip your whole hand in there and then take it out and then spray it with this product, and you would not even need to wash your hands with soap or water or use any kind of chemical to dissipate the oil. You could just basically just wipe your hand dry, and your hand would be soft. So I said, "Hey, what if I take that, and it's non-toxic, it's organic?" And I said, "What if I take that same product and I would put three innate ingredients, and let's go to the farming industry with this product, and it would clean the plants." And more importantly, because I was in the cannabis space, the growers will love this because they don't have to put any toxic chemicals to kill off the bugs and microbial creatures destroying their cannabis plant. Because once this thing gets aphis or any of these microbial creatures on there, you pretty much have to kind of throw the plant away. So I went and wrote a business plan for it. We actually did try said, "Okay, well, what are the innate ingredients, trial, whatever have you." And I took this product, had this product. We tried it on our, at the time, I had a friend who was a farmer, tried it on his grow, and the results was like, wow, it cleaned the plants right away. But we were not ready yet to take it to the marketplace. So I had a friend here in San Diego who has a urban farm where he grew various different type of plants, everything from cannabis, and he was actually using an aquaponic way of uh, uh, growing cannabis, which is very interesting because you don't use a lot of space. You don't need a land to grow cannabis. It was just this fiber tank, and it's basically the water. And it's recyclable water that's going into the tank, feeding the fish. The fish poop feeds the plant, that sort of thing, and it just kind of goes in a recycle. Anyway, I asked if I could come in there and have this product. Mind you, he doesn't know anything of if this product of mine was even going to kill any of his plant. It was just really a chance, and the fact that he would trust that I wouldn't go in there and decimate his whole plantations there of plants and cannabis specifically. And so, yeah, he allowed me to go in there and we treated the product. And the results, again, one more time, was it cleaned the plants. So then I convinced a partner of mine. I pitched. I did a lot of pitching. So in that, I got an investor out of it. 40K. He invested 40K for 20% equity in the company. And so then, it was an S corp. Then we decided to, because we have the proof of concept at this urban farm, that it went well. And then he too said, hey, this product works well. I use it on my product. And I had a testimonial from an urban farmer and several other farmers that we gave the product to. We thought for sure, okay, now we're ready, really ready to go, because now I got the funding to get the company going. I got the business plan written out. And plus, mind you, I spent countless hours of correcting information because it was based on demand and supply, and who my target market was going to be. Is it going to be these small farmer guys, or is it going to be these big distributors who are going to get it out there? So I got actually two investors to invest. One was more not equity within my company, but just here's X amount of dollars for X amount of dollars. So I was really happy, and I thought for sure, this is it. This is the way we're going to go with this. So we went to a paid for convention. The convention alone was 10 grand to register for it, and the materials I got for the convention too was, before you know it, we're already close to $30,000. And then of course I had to get salespeople. So we were really rock and rolling. And let me tell you, I thought by going to this convention that specifically directly touched the farmers, our product was going to be an instant hit and we were going to sell out. And I say this because there's a lot of lesson that I've learned through the whole entire process with this. And because the 3 days that we were there, a lot of the orders that were coming in were kind of more like sample orders. They weren't really like orders like truckloads, you know. Um, so, through my journey, there was just really a lot of things that I've, looking in hindsight. Because let me tell you, at the end of the day, um, the manufacturer that we were going with actually was scrupulous and basically was fraud. And in the process of that, we met someone who actually had the similar um, main ingredient, and he's like, my product, if anything, is more better. So we went with that one. Long story short, we went into different investor pitching, because now we need a venture capitalist um, to come in there now and really take it to the next level. Because this is the same product that can also clean water. Now this, you have this algae bloom growing, and then you put this product in there, and a couple hours or maybe a couple days later, the water is clear. So for sure, we thought we had this product that everybody wanted. So we went from countless meetings left and right. Long story short, we were offered $50 million to buy the company. But then the manufacturer did not want to just let go of it that easily, because he knew what he got, what kind of product he has here. So by him, not wanting to take the first offer, because first of all, the company that wanted to purchase it was a cosmetic company out of Greece. And he really thought, and he got freaked out and thinking, this may be Monsanto trying to come after us. And I don't feel comfortable selling the company. And then they wanted to pay a portion of that 50 million in like 28 days, provided that we sign the contract, we release the patent to them and all that stuff. So because of his hesitation, he pulled out on the deal, and therefore I'm left holding with the bag. I've got these investors who I took money in, but we went head on together though. It wasn't like, I was more like the the brain and they were the beauty, or the beauty in the brain, kind of concept. So I'm just sharing this with you guys because these are some of the things that I experienced that I wish that I should have stuck with my CBD divas that I started a year before that, and I think I would have been more successful with that because there was other uh, areas I wanted to cover in the CBD category when I was first in it, and no, it wasn't as available as it is today. So anyway, with that, I land. Thank you for the opportunity.
And we appreciate the story. I mean, the detail. We've actually done a show called Lessons from the Edge, and I think that one was one there that really went into detail about some of the things that could go wrong and the partnerships and suppliers and whatnot. But we appreciate that. Thank you for that. We have. Apologize on my pronunciation. I'm following you right now too. Akola Maxwell, you're on stage. Do you have an idea that you can share, or why you came up with an idea that took off or didn't take off?
Greetings, everyone. Yes, greetings, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Just a little bit light, so maybe a little bit, speak a little bit louder, but we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, my name is Achola Maxwell. I'm from Kenya, Africa, here in East Africa. Uh, uh, I operate a non-profit organization. However, we've got some income generating activities that help me to sustain the organization. Uh, we started with one chicken and one cock and two chicken. And the moment when we started, by the way, we started by training young people on how to do poultry keeping. And when I started the project, it started peaking by youth started coming in and training, and out of it we got some income from the training manual that we developed. And again, I saw an idea whereby there was a space whereby people used to throw garbage. So we went and decided that we should clean that space. And when we cleaned the space, a certain land grabber unfortunately saw the space is nice, and he started building shops there, and we had some push and pull, and they decided to give us another space that is not better, but we saw that because we that space we can use it. So we started doing smart outdoor garden, kitchen garden, where we started putting vegetables and selling them to the community, and also producing training manuals on how we can also sell to the rest of the community, so that they can also start putting vegetables that can become sustainable to themselves. So there was some income that we started getting out of it. So uh, when we were stopping people from throwing garbage around the community, we saw it an opportunity by starting collecting garbage from the household, whereby we collected garbages from the household, and we got money out of it for employing young people, so that they cannot engage into criminal activities because of lack of employment, especially for young people between the age of 18 years to 24 years, which has become a very big problem here in Africa. So through that, we saw other opportunities that come with garbage, whereby we saw there were plastics from the plastics that we get out of from the waste, and then we sort them. For example, there is HD plastic, there is also uh, uh, blow and injection plastic and PVC, whereby when we sort them, we used to sell them to other aggregators, waste aggregators, and then these waste aggregators again sell them to other people. So we saw that great need, and after some time, we got a well wisher who supported us with incubator, and we started producing a lot of chicken, and after selling this chicken, we also got an opportunity of buying a shredding machine so that we could get more profit from this waste management, whereby we started shredding plastic into flakes and then selling them not to aggregators but industries that produce uh, 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 items that are made out of plastic. So apparently we are still looking forward on how we can also start molding, and the organization that was just started out of helping the community has injected several other projects that are within it. We also do seedlings, tree seedlings.
Chola,
Apparently, yes, sir.
it's like, really appreciate the story. We are running out of time. We only have a couple minutes left, but I really
Yes.
wanted to congratulate you, and I think you just what you've done here is it reminded me of figuring out the problem in the community and then solving it. And it doesn't have to be a for profit; it can be a not for
Yes.
profit. And we
Yes.
had and I think you might find this fascinating. We had another gentleman who's from Africa who came on the show, this show a few weeks ago, and I just pinned the link at the top there. His name's Manny Onum, and I don't know, you probably can pronounce it better than me. Onum, and he set out on a goal of giving away 10 million pairs of shoes 19 years ago because he discovered all of the issues where children who didn't have shoes would actually have lower education. They would get diseases. There were all these problems associated with it. So he says, you know what? How am I going to change the world? How am I going to solve that problem? And he's crossing over his 10 millionth pair of shoes in October. So we're looking forward to seeing that. I pinned that at the top, and that show is available also on any podcast network. You just search for Manny Onme, Ohonme, Ohonme, Manny
Operator.
Orm. What's that? Can you help me?
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, spell the name again.
So Ohonme.
O H M.
Onme.
Okay, Omni.
Right,
Omni. There you
Yeah.
go. Thank you. Thank you
right.
very much. That's why we need a community. We all don't have all the answers, right? We need a community to come together. But it's a phenomenal story. If you get a chance, just search for that on Google Startup Club, and it'll come right up, and or in your favorite podcast network. It's been a great show. I wanted to say that this topic is near and dear to me. I spend a lot of time speaking on this topic. I've invested a lot in the book coming out on October 3rd, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, and where we go into a lot more stories of actual individuals who came up with an idea or tried to solve a problem, and they understood their why, their passion, and they loved that idea, and they went through that roller coaster and were successful at it. We talk a lot about this concept in the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, which will be coming out October 3rd, being published by Forbes. What a great show. Thank you, everyone. We shall see you next week, Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern. Michelle, any last final thoughts to
No,
close it out?
just remember we have a website, www.startup.club. Please check it out. We put a lot of effort. We have well over 150 blog articles, transcripts, as well as the links to the recordings. And if you want to hear about these cool events and speakers, not only just on this show, but other shows that are on Startup Club, please join the email list and we'll let you know as they occur. Thank you. And I think we're getting close to the end of summer, at least I hope so. So, everybody, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. That's Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern here on Clubhouse at Startup Club. Thank you so much.